Hello there, my name is James Harrington. If Spanish football is for you, then this is the place to be. Today's video is my 2021-2022 La Liga predictions. Now I'm not going to do all 20 teams and try and figure out where they're going to finish. I'm going to focus on the top 7 teams, those that qualify for Europe, and the bottom 3, those that will be relegated. Just a few opening thoughts about this season in La Liga. The emotions going through my head is of course one of excitement. It's a new La Liga campaign. There's also joy seeing fans back in the stadium, and as well intrigue trying to figure out the endless possibilities, who's going to be the informed player, where the upset's going to be. But as well there's just so much uncertainty, so many unknowns, a number of big marquee players leaving, a number of new managers coming in, and that just makes all these predictions so much more difficult. Now before I really get into the predictions, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go from the champions all the way down to 7th place and then those that are going to be relegated. Now you may say, well that doesn't build up the suspense, you're not trying to figure out who's going to be next. Well actually it kind of helps with the argument and explaining my rationale as to why certain teams are in certain positions. So we're going to start with the La Liga champions, and this year I think it's going to be Atletico Madrid. I think they're going to be able to defend their crown for the first time in 71 years. Unlike their title rivals, they have a largely settled side. And as well, when we look at Cholo last season, even though he's been their manager since 2011, he was able to reinvent himself. Tactical flexibility demonstrated with his 3-5-2 formation, still maintaining that strong defensive base, but also giving the side real panache in the offensive department going forward. As well, when you go through their team in every department, every area of the pitch, they are so strong. Their goalkeeper, they arguably have one of the best goalkeepers in the world in between the sticks. Their defence is so tight. Since 2013-2014, they've conceded 30 goals or less in a season, with last season only conceding 25. Their midfield is another department of great strength. 2 players I want to talk about. Koke, a man who had probably one of his best seasons as an Atletico player recently, got a great eye for a pass and a fantastic work rate, and I felt that he capped off what was a solid season for Atletico with stellar performance at the Euros for Spain. Added to that, they brought in Rodrigo de Paul from Udinese in the Italian top flight, and he adds that real spark, that real creativity going forward, having got 9 assists and 9 goals last season. The only cause concerning that midfield department is João Felix. I mean, he's of course got a phenomenal amount of potential, but with such a huge price tag hanging over him, there will always be questions asked. Now last season he was in and out of the side, and you think for a player who has such quality, he should be a de facto starter. So hopefully he can come into his element this season. The other area of concern, but it's of a lesser concern to that, is in their striking department. Now, with Luis Suarez, of course, they got a man who got some really timely goals, crucial goals, and lifted Atletico to that next level. But they really were lacking a backup striker. Now, they got Moussa Dembele in on loan, and that was quite unsuccessful, shall we say. But according to Football España, they're close to signing Rafa Mir from Wolves. Now, last season, Mir was at Huesca on loan, and he got 13 goals, which is so impressive in a side that were relegated. He's young, he's hungry, he's sharp, composed, and got a real eye for goal. So that'll be such an important signing for Diego Simeone this season. Considering all of that and looking at the other teams got weaker, whereas Diego Simeone's side has either stayed the same or got stronger. Therefore, if I was a Los Rojiblancos fan, I'll be optimistic going into this season. In second place for me, it's going to be Real Madrid. Now for Real Madrid, I think it's either going to be a really interesting season or a really difficult season. They've lost their spine of their team. Their older players have gone even older and are closer to retirement. They've got rid of their most successful manager ever in Zinedine Zidane. And as well, they've got a number of big name loan players coming back, trying to force themselves into Ancelotti's first team plans. Last season with Real Madrid, the La Liga title race went down to the final day, but they just fell short. However, for me this season, I think Real Madrid are a weaker team. Now let's just go through them. Let's look at their defence. They've lost their spine. They've lost their defensive stalwarts in Sergio Ramos and Rafael Varane, with the former being their captain. Now, for me, their defence last season was really problematic. They had a number of injuries around that spring period, where there were a number of season-defining matches, which led to Zinedine Zidane having to pull together a ragtag defence. Now, all they have left is 4 centre-backs. You've got David Alaba, who's coming from Bayern Munich, who's naturally a left-back but can play centre-back. You've got Militao, who had a consistent season last time around, but be looking to build upon that. Nacho Fernandez, who's not normally a starter, normally a deputy. Then you've got Jesus Vallejo, who's been on loan for a number of years, most recently at Granada, having to now come back into the first team fold. They've let Schust go out on loan to Cadiz, and I just feel in the defence they've really weakened themselves in that department. Then onto their midfield. As I said, obviously their older players have gone older, but they really are trying to get the last bit of juice out of Toni Kroos, Casemiro and Modric. Of course, they're very talented individuals. But what will have to happen is that Ancelotti will have to bleed in a number of youngsters, most notably Martin Ødegaard. The very talented Norwegian spent last season on loan at Arsenal, but he'll be hoping to force himself into the Real Madrid starting lineup. Other big loan signings coming back. Gareth Bale coming back from Tottenham. I mean, he's really in his last chance saloon at Real Madrid at the moment. He's had a good pre-season. Hopefully he can have an impact this time around. If we look at Luka Jovic, the striker, had a very average loan spell at Frankfurt last season, not getting the goals to warrant a starting berth at Real Madrid. So whether he'll come good this season is another question. But the other big player that we should be talking about is Eden Hazard. Since he's moved from Chelsea, he hasn't really kept his fitness up. He's been injured a number of times and has never been able to put together a string of match-winning performances. Can he be a big player for Ancelotti this season? Can he come good? With Carlo Ancelotti, I definitely feel that this is a weaker side than the team that he had when he was first in charge, but also a weaker side than Real Madrid had last season. And for that reason, I don't think they're going to be La Liga champions. In third place for me, it's Sevilla. Now, last season they recorded a record number of wins and a record number of points to finish 4th. Therefore, their objective this season is to do one better than that, 3rd, and as well I feel go even further in European competition. Lopetegui is crafting a really good team at Sevilla. The only bit of business that my eyebrows really were raised was the part exchange of Bryan Gil to Tottenham for Eric Lamela. I was very much avidly a fan of Bryan Gil last season. He clearly is a big Spanish talent. However, the only way I could rationalise that deal was Sevilla recognise they're so close to the La Liga title, the closest they've been in many, many years. What they need to do is add experience rather than nurture talent. In all the chaos caused by COVID last season, Sevilla could have won La Liga, but they fell away towards the end. So hopefully Lamela is a key asset for them this season. They've also added goalkeeper Dimitrovic from Eibar, which is good competition for Yassine Bono. But the big player that most people are interested in and probably causes a lot of anxiety for Sevilla fans is Jules Koundé. The centre-back was, again, a brilliant player last season. He featured in my team of the season and he's been linked with a number of top European sides. However, at the time of recording, he's still a Sevilla man. And if Monchi is able to keep him at the club, I definitely feel like 3rd place is on the cards for them. But looking away from La Liga towards Europe, we know that Sevilla have done really well in the past in the Europa League, but it's the Champions League they still need to prove their credentials. They got knocked out in the round of 16 to Borussia Dortmund 5-4 in aggregate, so a clear goal for them this season is to go even further in that tournament. In 4th place, now this was a really big call to make. I think it's going to be Barcelona. Now you might say that's a bit harsh, but having no Messi is going to be a real problem. Last season they kind of fell away in the league. They were disappointing in the Champions League. The real highlight was obviously winning the Copa del Rey. But with Messi leaving, and I won't dwell upon this too much because I did do a video recently, do go check it out. It leaves a massive hole in the squad. Not only have you lost a player that guarantees you 25, 30 plus goals a season, not only have you lost a player that is so key to your creativity going forward, but you've also lost an individual who, even at your lowest, when you're in the tightest of spots, can drag a team out and win a game on his own. The expectation will be therefore that the youngsters really will have to step up. I'm looking at Pedri, a man who's played so much football in the past year, not only in La Liga, but also for Spain at the Euros and the Olympics. You then got Ansu Fati, who's coming back for injury, hopefully around the September international break, and as well Ricky Puig, amongst others. Koeman has made a number of interesting signings. You've got Eric Garcia, Memphis Depay, Emerson Royale, and as well Sergio Aguero, with the latter being out till November. The key thing for Ronald Koeman is they need to start well. Last season they lost 4 of their opening 10 matches, and as well they need to make the Camp Nou more of a fortress, a harder place to come and play. Their win percentage last season was 57.89%. I definitely do feel the ongoing financial issues at the club will have an impact on the performances on the pitch. And saying 4th place really is a big call. They haven't finished that low since the 03-04 season. But this is going to be the first season of a post-Messi era. And I definitely feel like it's going to be a bumpy one. In 5th place, I've gone with Villarreal. Now, I've recorded this before they've taken Chelsea on in the European Super Cup, and I expect that to be a really tight affair. But with Villarreal, looking back to La Liga, I think Unai Emery in his first season in charge really delivered the goods. He had a great first campaign at the Estadio de la Ceramica. He got them their first piece of major silverware, that being the Europa League. He got them back in the Champions League. And as well, over the summer, they've just gotten stronger. They've tied Jed Moreno down to a new long-term deal. A man who got 30 goals, 11 assists last season, effectively carried them at points. So that's a great piece of business. They've added more strength to their depth. You're looking at the bringing of Juan Foy from a permanent, Dia as a backup striker from Ligue 1, due to the fact they've now lost Carlos Bacca. And as well, they brought in Issa Mandi, who adds support for Pau Torres and Albiol. On top of that, Iborra will be coming back fit from injury, which is great news. And some people have touted Villarreal as potentially breaking into the top 4, but I feel like finishing 5th is more realistic this season. In 6th place, I'm going to go with Real Sociedad. Now, last season they finished 5th, but I do feel like they'll do one worse this time around. Imanol Alguacil has been in charge since 2018, and clearly the highlight of his tenure was winning the rearranged Copa del Rey last season. For Real Sociedad, what will be important is, of course, the league, but importantly, creating more of an impression on the European stage. In the Europa League, they got knocked out in the round of 32 by Manchester United 4-0 on aggregate, which is not good enough. So they really need to put a lot of effort into their European ventures this time around. For Real Sociedad, they've got a really similar squad to the one they had last season, strengthening by bringing in Matt Ryan, the goalkeeper from Brighton, and as well Diego Rico from Bournemouth as a fullback option. A player who's got good dead ball deliveries and is good from set pieces. And due to the fact that Nacho Monreal is out injured at the moment, will likely start the season. What will be important for Imanol this season is making sure that those players featuring the Olympics, Miguel Moreno, Miguel Oyarzabal and Zubimendi, aren't too sluggish, aren't too fatigued from their Olympic exploits, and hopefully they can hit the ground running. Importantly, if David Silva can keep fit, because he's such a midfield magician going forward. But crucially, the key player for them this season, as he was last season, is Alex Isak, the young Swede. Got 17 goals last season, linked with a number of top clubs, but hopefully he stays around and maybe break that 20 goal mark. I think due to the fact that Unai Emery has had one full season with Villarreal, been able to embed his philosophy, get the club play the way he wants them to, I think that will mean that Villarreal will pip Real Sociedad into that 5th spot. That just leaves 7th place, and it's a 3-way tussle between Bilbao, Real Betis and Celta Vigo. And the side I think is going to come out on top is Celta Vigo. I look at Real Betis, they haven't really made many additions and they've got to play European football, so that's going to be really demanding on them. I look at Bilbao and they've got a number of exciting young players, but they still need time to develop. But with Celta Vigo, they're just such an exciting team and play a really dynamic brand of football. Caldet transformed the team that was playing under Oscar Garcia. He improved a number of players. I'm looking at Santi Mina, who got 12 goals. Bryce Mendes getting amongst the goals. And as well, Iago Aspas, as reliable as ever. They made a huge signing over the summer of Javi Galan from Huesca, who again featured in my La Liga team of the season because he had the most dribbles in the Liga, only behind Lionel Messi. 2 seasons prior to the last one, they finished 17th. However, last season, Caltech got them all the way up to 8th, so he'll be looking to build upon that. As well, with their fire brand of football, I genuinely believe that Celta Vigo could be outside bets to win the Copa del Rey. Okay, so that was my top 7 sides in La Liga. We're now going to move on to the bottom 3 that I think will be relegated in no particular order. Starting with Cadiz. Now with Cadiz, I feel like they'll be found out this season. Their footballing identity is very much one of, we don't want the ball for 89 minutes, we're just going to soak up the pressure, hit you on the counter in the 90th minute and hopefully nick a winner. I just don't think that's a sustainable strategy for your second season in the Spanish top flight. Don't get me wrong, they had a really impressive campaign last time around. They finished 12th, very clear of relegation, and as well they started the season really strongly with 4 away wins. However, they haven't really added any big name quality signings to the squad, and they're still relying on the evergreen Alvaro Negredo for goals. With Cadiz, I really do feel like they're going to have to adopt a siege mentality this season, and it's going to go down to the wire, but I just don't think they have enough to stay up. The other side to go down, and I think it's going to be one of the promoted teams, and it's going to be Rayo Vallecano. Now, with Rayo Vallecano, they were able to squeak into that final playoff spot in the Segunda Division and then overcame Girona in the final to get promotion back to La Liga. But the thing with Rayo is, I don't know if they have the ability to withstand and not be picked apart by the big teams in La Liga. Last time they got promoted to the Spanish top flight was back in 2017-2018 season, and they were only there for 1 year and then relegated. And I worry for them that's going to be the same fate this time around. The final side to go down, I think it's going to be Elche. Now, a side that got rid of their manager Almiron partway through the season, reappointed Fran Escriba, the man who knows the club well, and guaranteed their survival on the final day. It's very rare for a club to have the lowest amount of XG scored and the most amount of XG allowed to survive a top flight season, but Elche did it. They don't really create many high quality chances. You don't look at Lucas Boyer and Correa and go, they're prolific strikers. As well, defensively, it's a cause for concern. They allowed the second most shot creating actions of any team in La Liga and the most touches inside their own penalty box. With Elche, I really do feel they're going to struggle this season, and I think their luck's going to run out. Well, that's it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed my La Liga predictions. Do let me know if you agree or disagree. Give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and why not hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Also, if you were interested, I did a video the other day where I ranked all the La Liga kits, their home kits from best to worst. Just a bit of fun. Please do go check that out. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.